Mahalo for joining me in the conversation with Guy Kaulukukui, who is the Director of the Enterprise Services for the City and County of Honolulu. Appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
Thank you. You have a big responsibility in this place.
And actually, it's a fun one. You know, the department oversees a variety of the city's revenue-generating opportunities. So besides the Blaisdell Center, where we are right now, we oversee the Waikiki Shell, the Tom Moffett Waikiki Shell, which was recently renamed. You probably know that, in honor of Tom Moffett. Very fitting memorial.
Yeah, absolutely.
We also oversee the city's 6 golf courses, the Honolulu Zoo, and we manage the city's concession agreements. Like if you've gone to Ala Moana Beach Park in the last few years, you know that there are 2 L&L restaurants in the concessions, and we manage those concession agreements.
So enterprise services has to do with revenue generating for the county.
Correct. So what happened about 20 years ago, in fact, I think it's exactly 20 years ago, the county reorganized several departments, and it created my department. Obviously, I wasn't here at the time, but it created my department to oversee, as you said, the revenue generating opportunities, with the idea that they would, at some point in the future, operate off of the general fund so that it didn't require taxpayer contribution for the service. We're not there. A lot of what we do is expensive, in particular running a entertainment venue like this is, 22 acres, you know, variety of venues. It's an expensive endeavor. There's a reason the government is involved in it and the private sector isn't, is because it is expensive and requires a subsidy.
We don't ever think about that when we come to watch volleyball or basketball
Right.
here, you know, or go to the exhibition hall or listen to a concert. And when you look at your responsibilities that are so different, it's not just athletics or music.
Right.
How do you manage that?
It's been very interesting. You need to, you know, over the time, try to learn a variety of different lines of business. Golf is different from operating a zoo, which is different from operating an arena, which is different from operating a concert hall, and which is different from managing concession agreements. And honestly, it probably was, I've been on the job a little over 3 years now. It was probably 2.5 years into that before I really felt like I had a grasp on our different business models.
But you could kind of shape it too.
A bit,
in your
yes.
leadership
and
role.
I think that's the intention, right? I think the department was always, as I said, intended to operate as much as possible off the general fund, meaning as little as possible taxpayer money, which means we need to generate revenue. It says enterprise in our title. We're intended to be enterprising, entrepreneurial, all the kinds of things I, you know, really embrace as a challenge, particularly in government service.
And it must be kind of neat for you growing up in Hawaii with these iconic locations to now be part of making them successful.
It is. What's even more exciting is positioning them for our children and grandchildren and their grandchildren, right? The Blaisdell Center, where we're sitting in right now, is 54 years old, opened in 1964. We're going through a redevelopment process right now. We're 30% of the way through designing and reimagining this campus for this century and for the next generations. That's the interesting thing.
I like the concept of having a campus because it's a place of learning.
Right.
I mean, I remember coming here as a child watching the Ice Capades.
Right.
Who knew?
Yes, the variety of things that have happened right in this area, whether it's ice capades or it's a concert, and then iconic concerts, right? I mean, you can imagine that.
Tina Turner, New Year's Eve.
Well, Tina Turner, you know, not for me, but for many other people, Elvis, and the stage would have been set up right in this general area, and I think in many people's minds, especially in Hawaii, you can still have the image of Elvis and the red carnation lei and in the white, you know, stud-filled jumpsuit, you know, sweating and singing.
And people,
you know,
cheering and screaming.
Right, and beamed all around the world. That was the thing. That's the reason there's a statue on campus memorializing that event.
So whose idea was it that's a campus?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I inherited it. People were talking about this as a campus when I got on the job. I suspect for a while. I mean, I think it's the right term. It's collegial, right? It is multiple venues treated as parts of the same thing.
Well, it's exciting.
And learning.
It's exciting, and it gives a feeling, much like your energy as the director, that there's more that happens here than meets the eye.
Right, and actually what we're trying to do as we go into the future, ensure there's even more than is happening now, right? So right now, we are a venue. Most people who come here, and many people, if not almost everybody, comes here at some point in time, right? For some event. You mentioned volleyball. Most people mention graduation. There's always something. Our almost mission statement now is that memories are made here. That's the business we're in on this campus, is making memories and making positive ones.
Not only for visitors, but also for those who are employed.
Right. We have very, very long-term employees here. We have at least 2 who were ushers on the night of the Elvis concert.
Well, it's definitely not boring for you.
It hasn't been.
We've been chatting with Guy Kaulukukui, who is the Director of Enterprise Services for the City and County of Honolulu. Appreciate you being with us.